You're listening to the Hour of the Time. I'm William Cooper. Well, folks, we had an awful hard time getting on the air tonight, and we just made it just by a few minutes. Putting this studio back together and making sure all the wires are in the right place where they're supposed to be is the same as taking it apart and going to our conference and trying to get on the air and making sure everything is the way it's supposed to be. No matter what you do, something's always wrong. And a critical piece of wiring was missing. The 25-foot phone cord was missing. And so I had to jury-rig a whole bunch of phone cords together, not knowing if that would work. And we still haven't found that 25-foot phone cord, so I have no idea where it's at. I remember packing it in a box. Which box, I don't know. All boxes were supposed to come here and stay here, but somebody wasn't listening, and half of them ended up somewhere else. And so we were running around trying to find those boxes and get the equipment out of them. But we're here, and we're on the air. We're not using the good mic. You can probably tell that because we can't hook up the Tascam, the big mixer, which is the only thing that the big mic will plug into. Because when we tried that, we couldn't get anything on the satellite. So we had to go back to the portable rig that we used at the conference. The conference was fantastic, absolutely fantastic. It was the best conference that we've ever had by far, and was well attended by some of the most wonderful people that you could ever meet in your entire life. And the camp out was simply marvelous. With lots of hot dogs and some well-prepared campers, I must tell you. Came with these little things that you burn that keeps mosquitoes away, and the candles that keep mosquitoes away. And we're right by a lake, so I anticipated getting eaten up by mosquitoes, and not one single bite did I get all night. It was marvelous. Lots of soft drinks and marshmallows and s'mores, and we sang an awful lot of songs, more than I could probably count if I tried to go back and count how many songs we sang. But by golly, we sang them all for a long time, many hours. We sat around the campfire and told a lot of stories, and just had a great time. And we listened to. We got raided by Ranger Bob. And maybe somebody from the camp out will call in and tell you about the Ranger Bob raid. In the meantime, don't go away. I'll be right back. Well, we're going to take your calls tonight, ladies and gentlemen, 520-333-4578. I've been gone for, 5, 7, 9, 10, something like that, 9 or 10 days. And have you been watching the Democratic National sob story? Oh, they're just trooping everybody across there with a disability or something, and it's just everybody's just crying in tears, and it's just, whoa. Good evening, you're on the air.
I'm glad I was able to get a hold of you. I'm sorry you're not going to be on WWCR anymore.
Turn off your radio.
Unfortunately, I'm recording in the other room, and I can't do that. I'll try to stand as far away as I can. Basically, I just want to tell you that how much I think of your program. You're the best program out there, and I wish I had a satellite dish that I could get your signal still, and I hope somehow you're able to put together something for shortwave so that we can hear you out here in California.
Well, we're going to try that, but I'm not sorry I'm leaving WWCR. Those sorry bozos strung me on for 4 years, promising me an early time slot on, and they've got 3 different frequencies going 24 hours a day. And I know that many earlier time slots came up, and, like an idiot, I trusted them and I believed them, and I shouldn't have. And I learned my lesson about that scumbag George McClintock, and this Friday will be my last broadcast night on WWCR. If I am going to another shortwave broadcast, I'll let you know. In the meantime, we're going to be building our own network. Anybody who's interested in being a part of that network, send off a letter to me right away. We're going to make satellite systems available low cost and low cost FM micro transmitters, and we're going to take the airwaves away from all of these people that have been controlling them for so many years. We're going to take them back.
Well, I appreciate what you're doing, Bill, and I will be subscribing to Veritas so I do not lose contact and the valuable information that you give.
Great.
Very much.
You should also get with some other listeners in your area, pool together, get a satellite dish, buy an FM low-power transmitter, and start your own radio station there. You don't have to bear the burden of the expense all by yourself.
Okay, Bill, thank you very much.
You're welcome. All of you better start thinking about that. We're going to take the airwaves back from the controlled media. We're going to do it all across this country with low-power FM transmitters. I'm going to be on this same satellite Monday night, but I'm going to be 2 hours earlier. How about that? I'm going to start broadcasting 2 hours earlier on Monday night on this same satellite, and we may go 2 hours a night, and anybody who wants to download this program off the satellite with your own satellite dish and receiver can rebroadcast this program for nothing. Won't cost you a single penny. In the meantime, we'll still be looking for shortwave carriers, and we will find one sooner or later. If not, we'll go to a major AM clear channel broadcaster such as KGO or, there's lots of them. And I'm not saying that it's going to be easy or it's going to be quick, but we're going to do it. Good evening. You're on the air.
Hi, Bill. This is Ed calling.
Hello.
I have a question in regards to the coming economic collapse and the communist takeover. What I would like to know is, what advantage is it if you have all your debt paid off, no mortgage or nothing, as opposed to being sky high in debt?
They can't hold it over your head.
They need to come take it away anyways.
They can't hold it over your head.
Wouldn't they confiscate it anyways?
It doesn't matter. You're not attached to it, are you? You see, if you're not in debt, you're not a slave.
Right.
You understand that?
Yes.
If you're in debt, you can't repay the debt. You're enslaved to them.
Right. But if they come and take families away from each other, and if they...
You going to let them do that?
Pardon?
I'm not going to let them do that.
Well, I'm calling from Canada, and we don't have much recourse here, I guess.
Yes, you do.
What would that be?
The same thing, same recourse we have down here. Are you trying to say that you just give up?
No, actually not. But it's a situation when they're hauling people away and they're confiscating your property.
Well, you're not listening. Have you just given up?
No, actually, no.
I'm
actually trying to be as prudent as possible to protect myself in every aspect. But
you can't. You have to be willing to die for something. You have to draw the line in the sand and be willing to die if someone crosses over that line.
Yes.
And you Canadians just can't seem to draw the line.
Right.
Which means you've given up, haven't you?
Well, it seems unfortunate.
Is there anything you're willing to die for?
Yes, there is.
What?
Your freedom, your family.
Well, they've already taken most of your freedom. Now you're talking about when they come to take your family, and you want to be prudent about it.
Well, no, actually no. But what are you going to do against the tank or against the bazooka when?
I'll stand there with whatever I've got, and I'll fight them until I'm dead. I will not allow them to touch my family or any of my property. I have drawn the line.
Okay, Bill.
Many Americans have drawn the line. Until you draw the line, you're just nothing but a slave. You've given up. You're just waiting for them to come and put the chains on you, and you keep asking somebody, what are you going to do when they come to do it? If you haven't drawn a line, I can tell you exactly what you're going to do. You're going to help them put the chains on. You're going to do what you're told.
Yes. Okay. How much of a time span would there be between an economic collapse to the time of where they do try to probably take over or overrun the people then?
Well, they've already taken over. What they want to do is put you under complete control. And to do that, they have to make life so miserable that you get on your knees and beg for protection and jobs and food and all of that kind of stuff. They're going to make life miserable.
Well, Bill...
And don't ask me for a time frame because I've said this a million times. You're always calling me and asking me for a time frame. I don't have a crystal ball. I know what's going to happen because I've studied what they've done in their history. I know how they operate.
And it repeats itself. We all know that, too.
Yes, but if you want to know a date and a time, call the psychic hotline. I don't have that kind of power.
Okay, Bill. Thanks very much for the information.
You're welcome.
Good night.
520-333-4578. I can't believe it. You know, how can you sit and hope to be free and hope to have a good life and hope to keep your family together and maintain your standard of living if you can't draw a line in the sand? You know, it's beyond me. I don't even know how to talk about it. Good evening. You're on the air.
Good evening, Bill. How are you?
Good.
Yeah, I'm calling from Canada as well. But you know what? There are people up in this country that have drawn the line. There are people in this country that are saying, you're not taking our guns, you're not turning our children into homosexuals, and you're not defaming Christ anymore. Period.
Well, that's wonderful. I'm happy to hear that.
And you should be happy to know, Bill, a lot of it has to do because you're the voice out there that's starting to wake up the sheeple, and the sheeple in Canada are starting to listen. A lot of us have one problem. The problem is we will not look in the mirror and say, look at the biggest problem. It's in the mirror. Get off your butt and do something about it. Don't sit and whine and cry and complain and phone up Bill Cooper and ask for his advice because he's giving it to you. So go do something about it. And that's what some people up in this country are doing right now.
Well, that's great. But I know how hard it is to look yourself in the mirror and say, hey, I've been stupid and I got to change and I got to cut this stuff out because there was a time in my life when I had to do that. But I can tell you, unless you can do it, you can never make anything better for yourself and you can never change.
Yeah, people constantly want to blame this group or that group or this person or that person, but you want to know who really to blame, you look in the mirror. And once you start realizing how apathetic and lazy you've been, then you solve half the problem. The other half of the problem is you don't have to do anything illegal, you don't have to do anything immoral or unethical. All you have to say is I have my God-given rights as a British Commonwealth citizen, and they cannot take away my rights from me as a Christian. They can try all they want, but the line's drawn in the sand, and people like me up here in Canada are starting to get people together and saying, enough is enough.
Fantastic. I love to hear that. You're welcome. Thank you for calling. You see, that's the very first, ladies and gentlemen, the first and only call I've ever had from Canada that gives me hope for the Canadians. Good evening. You're on the air.
Oh, hi, Bill. How you doing?
Good.
Okay, I'm calling. I just saw something on the TV. They're talking about the 2 years and then you're off welfare, that type of thing. I just have an idea that it's going to set off a powder keg, and then there'll be a crime wave, and then they'll try to restrict guns even more. And if Slick Willie gets back in, it's very, very bad news.
Isn't that what I wrote in my book?
Yeah, sure is. I think they've got...
They create a dependent class, and then they begin to take away the benefits from the dependent class, and the dependent class who have become lazy and no longer have a work ethic turn to crime. And when they turn to crime, they use those statistics to make the middle class get down and beg for them to take away their freedom so that they can be secure from the crime.
Yeah, exactly. And then they're going forward with this regionalism and trying to sneak things into the states, and then this so-called turning things back to the states, but it's really like you got to go through some federal bureaucrat intermediary, and it's a whole synchronized mess that's very, very sad, and I'm sure Jefferson would be rotating a million miles an hour in his grave right now.
Not only that, he'd slap Clinton's ears off for using his name to support Clinton's stupid policies.
Yep. This is only the beginning of sorrows, I'm sad to say, but what could you do except try to get ready? I was watching a couple of training films, they're old World War II training films, like some videos on arms and different things. And let me tell anybody, I've never been in the service, but war, from what I could see of those training videos, war is hell.
Oh yes, there's no glory in war.
It really is. So it's a real big thing to prepare and train. And I know I've got a ways to go. Well, thank you very much, and keep up the good work.
You're welcome.
Bye.
Thank you for calling. 520-333-4578 is the number. Good evening. You're on the air.
Yeah, Mr. Cooper, after this Friday, is there going to be any other place like on the internet or something like that where we can kind of keep up with you and find out if you pop up on shortwave again?
Last time I gave my internet address out on the radio,
you probably got flooded.
There's no way that any human being can handle that kind of numbers of messages, so I'm just not going to do it.
Do you have like an answer machine? Maybe you could put a message on there?
No, I'm not going to do that either. We've got Veritas. If you want to help the cause and if you want to keep informed, subscribe to Veritas. We'll also be on this satellite 2 hours earlier every night. And we'll be building a network across the country. You should get with some other listeners, get a satellite system so that you can receive this program in beautiful high fidelity sound and rebroadcast it on an FM transmitter.
Okay, well, I'll look into a satellite dish.
Okay, and I'll try to let you guys know about that before Friday.
Okay.
And also we'll be publishing it in Veritas. Good evening, you're on the air.
Hello, Bill. How you doing?
Good.
You remind me of an old friend of mine. He's a good old guy, and I was 18 years old back in '72, and when I hear you, I think of him because he was thinking of the same things, and way back then, and he was pretty far ahead of his time. The Democratic convention was really, those buffoons tonight really had me laughing.
What a bunch of manipulators. It's just a big cry in your beer, feely-touchy manipulation, make everybody think you're going to heal all their problems and cure all their ills and make them all well and give them all jobs, and it's the biggest crock of crap that ever was.
But they're falling for it again, aren't they?
Well, only the fools fall for it. I mean, you can look at what they really accomplish. They don't accomplish anything. They take away your dignity. They take away everything. They want your children. They want everything. They want it all.
They're not going to get my family.
Mine either.
They're going to have to go through a brick wall to get to me.
Well, they touch one of my children, or they touch my family, or any of my property. There's going to be the biggest gunfight on the top of this mountain than you ever dreamed of in your entire life.
God bless you, man. I mean, it feels so good to sit here and listen to you on this radio. I found you by accident, and I'm going to stay in touch with you and see what I can do to get a transmitter or whatever and get information on how to keep up with your show. And I wish you. I've called before. I just want to say God bless you, man. You're the greatest, and I really appreciate your show.
Well, thank you for calling.
And I wish you all the luck in the world.
Thank you. God bless you, my friend.
Thank you. Bye.
520-333-4578 is the number. Good evening. You're on the air.
Just a moment.
Hello?
Hey, Bill?
Yes. You got your radio on?
It's off now. We have identified some Russian tanks, T-72s, and some air-to-air missiles, SAM missiles, Russian equipment, plus Russian people in Mississippi's Southern National Park.
Mississippi's what?
Mississippi's Southern National Park.
You got photographs, videotapes?
We got videotape of it, and we're making copies, and we're going to send you one.
Got photographs?
Yes, we do.
Okay, send me copies of photographs and videotape. Make sure that there's some way that we can identify where they're at, and they're not really pictures of Soviet tanks in Russia.
Right. What this is inside of one of these biosphere zones that's restricted, by the USDA. And we have pictures of the sign, and we do have videotapes of it. And what I'd like is, if you announce your address later on, I'll get it and I'll send you a copy.
Okay.
Okay?
Great.
Sure. Bye-bye.
Good night. By golly, had something. Oh, yeah. I was going to tell you all that, we called it right with TWA Flight 800. It was shot down with a missile, a SAM missile, just like the ones they used against our planes in Vietnam. It was fired from a submarine. There's no doubt about it whatsoever. There are photographs of this missile in flight coming up from the ocean, going toward the aircraft. And not just one photograph, but a whole set of photographs taken by several different people. It is absolutely disgusting. The government is covering it up. They know exactly what shot down TWA Flight 800, and those scum-sucking, puke-faced socialist dogs are trying to blame it on American patriots. We don't have any submarines. Good evening. You're on the air.
Yes, Bill?
Yes.
Lewis, Tulsa, Oklahoma.
Hello.
I don't know whether you've heard much about the news. Yesterday morning on Paul Harvey's newscast, he said that Donna Shalala was quietly going through the delegates and telling them that, don't worry, as soon as President Clinton is reelected, he's going to work for the repeal of the welfare reform legislation.
Doesn't surprise me a bit.
And she said that it's for the greater good. This morning, we have a...
the ends justify the means, right?
This morning, on a local Tulsa talk show, just a 2 hours hoorah thing with a fairly well-known local character, and they had discussions about what it would take for a person to want to vote against President Clinton. So I called and told him about this. And he said, well, Paul Harvey is, of course, a well-known conservative Republican. And I said, yes, but it seemed to me that the truth could be determined here. And I didn't think that any of the liberal Democrats would be giving this newscast. But this just sounds typical, doesn't it? Both sides of every issue straddle the fence, pull them.
No, it has nothing to do with that. It's just that they are chronic, habitual liars.
I have heard your program for some time, Bill. I'm an amateur radio operator and kind of addicted to shortwave listening, and I've tuned around and I've been catching you. I wish you well in whatever you do, and try to keep some kind of contact with the people up here.
Well, get a low power FM transmitter. Get a satellite dish.
That is
become a part of the solution, not just a passive listener.
Yes. Okay. I hope to hear more of you.
Okay.
Thank you, sir. Bye.
You know, it's really going to be revealing if none of you get involved in this, and you just sit out there and wait for somebody else to come and spoon feed you. Good evening. You're on the air.
Hi, Bill Cooper.
Yes.
Dave Zerby in Casper, Wyoming.
Hello, Dave.
Bill, we listened to you a lot. Had a heck of a long time getting on to you tonight. Right to the problem. We've been fighting these helicopters up here at Casper, Wyoming for about a year and a half. They finally admitted they're with the 160th Army. That's the spook team out of Fort Campbell, Kentucky.
Yep.
Say they're up here training. They're sorry they did what they've done. Off the record, they say. One of the boys come in the shop. Kind of don't know if it was a setup or what. We know we've been fighting these guys. You know we've been fighting them. We did hire one 340 Cessna global position. The governor couldn't do anything about it. Got any solutions?
Do I have any solutions?
Yes, sir.
Do you know who these people are?
Yeah, they're the 160th Army out of Fort Campbell, Kentucky.
I know that. Do you know who the individual pilots are?
Oh, sure.
Can you find out?
We haven't been able to. They're a real elite organization.
They're just a bunch of scumbag human beings, just like all the rest of us. They're breaking the law. They know it. They know they're not supposed to fly below 500 feet. They know they're not supposed to fly at night with no lights on their helicopters. They know they're not supposed to scare animals and people and hover right above your rooftop and point guns at you. They know this. They know it. There's nothing elite about them. They're scum.
FAA bill says they can't do anything about it. They have no control over the military. Who do you go to?
Well, that's what I'm going to try and tell you. If you can find out who these individual pilots are by name, you can sue them individually. They broke the law.
Almost impossible when the U.S. government says the 160th does not exist.
No, the U.S. government does not say that. 160th does exist. It's well documented. Everybody knows where they're at. The whole works. We've been talking about them for years.
Every time we try to go into anybody, whether it's the Pentagon or what it is, we can't get anything done with it.
Well, in that case, then what you need to do is get everybody together and bring a class action suit against the military or the FAA. They're sue everybody. Something's got to come out in court. You'll have the right to discovery.
Did you know about the ones that went down in the Red Desert?
No.
Of Rock Springs?
No.
They flew together in the dark over there about 2 or 3 weeks ago. They went
with no lights on, I know.
No lights on, exactly.
Low altitude.
We called the United Associated Press. They said that they would not cover it. A little outfit there called the Rock Springs paper.
Uh-huh.
They did cover it. They brought the C-47, I believe they call it, the Chinook helicopter, into the airport. The paper went out and took a picture of it, and it was just like it didn't exist. It never got on the main news or anything. They just blocked it right there.
Sure. That's because the news is a part of this. The national media is totally controlled by the socialist, communist people that want to destroy this country.
C-130 north of Upton, Wyoming, up by Gillette the same week. Tore a house up, damaged cattle, livestock. They did get a number off of it. Their story was that plane was never based anywhere around Wyoming. That came somewhere out of Florida. There's a lot of pictures of it that documents it being on the Rapid City Air Force Base for several weeks.
Yeah. Well, I got to tell you, the first one that flies down the rooftop over my house and points a gun at me is going to get shot.
It's the only way we can handle it, I believe.
That's right. I have a right to defend myself and my family. And if they don't belong to the United States government, if they don't belong to the United States Air Force, if they don't belong to the United States Army, if they don't belong to the United States Navy, and nobody ever heard of them, and nobody will claim them, and they're not Americans, and none of our helicopters are flying below 500 feet, and none of our helicopters are scaring people and animals, and none of our helicopters are landing in populated cities and rural areas where they're not supposed to be. If none of our helicopters are running at night without their lights on, barely off the ground, if none of our helicopters are pointing guns at American citizens, then we must be being invaded by some foreign power. And if that's the case, if they do that to me, I'm going to shoot them down.
What do you know about Australia, Bill, about the disarmament the last 30 days? And
it's all published in Veritas. Big article, long time ago.
A friend of mine went over there from Douglas, Wyoming, spent a month over here this last month.
I got to let you go. We got to take our break.
Okay, Bill. Thank you, sir.
Thanks for calling.
You bet.
Don't go away, folks. We'll be right back.
Crazy people, crazy people, crazy people like me, so crazy over people like you. Goofy people, daffy people like me, so crazy over the things you do. While we are the moon in the bar, we got me acting up like a loon. It must be love. Crazy people like me, so crazy over people like you. Crazy people like you. Crazy people like the things you do. When we are under the moon above, you got me acting just like a loon. It must be love.
The Hour of the Time, ladies and gentlemen, is brought to you by Swiss America Trading. Our people down in Phoenix that specialize in non-confiscatable, non-reportable hard assets. Real money, if you will, and even if you won't, it's a fact. Look it up in the law. Read the Constitution, see what it says about states paying debts and what kind of money they can use. See what it says about Congress's right to, or not right, but power to coin money. And then read the law. You'll be amazed, because what you're dealing with that you carry around in your pocket every day is nothing but counterfeit scrap paper with ink all over it that means nothing. Everything that's written on it is a lie. It's not a dollar. No, a dollar is just a measurement, any more than a quart can be milk. It's not a dollar. It's not a note. The Federal Reserve isn't federal, and there isn't any reserve because there isn't anything to put in reserve. How about that? Call Swiss America Trading. Ask them for the new newsletter. Talk to Frank, our good buddy who spent a lot of time helping us out with this broadcast. And bringing you the metal report every Thursday, except when I've been gone. And he should be on for the last time this Thursday night until we get our new shortwave program, wherever that's going to be. And we may even end up buying a shortwave station. Who knows? We're experimenting with all of these things, and if you want to keep on top of it, make sure you subscribe to Veritas, and I'll tell you how to do that later in this broadcast, so make sure you have pen and paper with you. And whatever we do, Swiss America Trading will still be our sponsor as long as they want to be. They've always been with us, so we'll always stick with them. As long as they want to do the sticking. And if they don't, well, I'm sure that we can either find somebody else or figure out how to do it ourselves, just like we've always done in the past. Isn't it funny when somebody tells me I can't do something, how quick I learn how to do it? And the most amazing thing is I'm no different or better than any of you sitting out there, and I think it's amazing how when somebody tells you you can't do something, you find every reason in the world to agree with them and continue on the way you've been. And you don't have to do that, folks. I'm giving you an opportunity to change that. Swiss America will be a part of it. They will be the sponsors on this network, at least for my part of the broadcast of this network. And we're looking for a name now. So you can keep in touch with us. You can subscribe to Veritas, and you can keep in touch with Swiss America Trading. And we'll let you know how we progress and how it transpires and how you can be a part of it. When you call Swiss America Trading, make sure you thank them for sponsoring this broadcast. And ask them how you can get your hands on some real money. Not the funny stuff. Real money. Folks, you need it. We all need it. It's the only thing that's ever been recognized in the history of the world, and it's the only money system that's ever worked consistently, always, and has never failed. It has never failed. It has been subverted and destroyed, but it has never failed. Every paper system that's ever existed has always failed. It's never subverted because it's what they subvert the real money to in order to be able to rob everybody blind, but it always fails. And that little piece of information, if you remember it, will never fail you. 1-800-289-2646. That's 1-800-289-2646. Do it now, folks. You know how you tend to procrastinate. 1-800-BUY-COIN. Good evening. You're on the air.
Yeah, Mark from Shreveport.
Oh, Mark.
Yeah, I wanted to point out for everybody listening, there was a fellow you had on your program here a few nights ago who had occasion to mention fair radio sales in Lima, Ohio. I would like to point out that those people have for sale some 3 kilowatt and 10 kilowatt shortwave transmitters, tunable from 2 to 29.99 megahertz. For just a little over $3,000. They're used Collins transmitters, and they're reportedly in very, very good condition. And I was thinking of getting one of those things myself to start a small shortwave station for a church group that I'm affiliated with. And when I heard about you looking to build a network, I thought, well, you know, if I ever manage to pull this off, I will probably contact you to see if I can get you on.
Well, that's very interesting. I wasn't aware that they had those transmitters. Of course, I haven't got the latest catalog from them either.
Yeah, it's I believe it is on the very back or next to the last page somewhere. It's in the back of the catalog. It's I can't think of the designation of the transmitter right off the top of my head. I don't have the catalog in front of me, but they have it's a short designation. They have a 3 kilowatt and a 10 kilowatt. The 3 kilowatt is about $2,800 or $2,900, and the 10 kilowatt unit is about $3,200 and something.
Okay.
And I take it they've got a bunch of them. Plus, they can get more.
Great.
And I was looking at that, and I was thinking, hey, I could become a shortwave broadcaster myself. I mean, that's small time, 3 kilowatt and 10 kilowatt versus like WWCR's 100 kilowatts, and it wouldn't have the same kind of coverage. But then if you had them all over the country, that'd be another matter. And
well, if we could find some electrical wizard, we could build one, couldn't we?
Oh, yeah. Well, as a matter of fact, it's, there's a little radio station down in Mansfield, Louisiana, KDXI AM, which is around, I think, 780 kilohertz. I mean, it's only 1 kilowatt for crying out loud. That's less than what radio amateurs can run.
Well, with shortwave, it doesn't take much to broadcast and be heard all over the place. It just takes the right frequency at the right time and
a good antenna.
Yeah, good antenna. That's correct. Okay, I thank you for that information.
Okay, see you later.
Good night. 520-333-4578. I was going to tell you guys about Ranger Bob, or I was hoping somebody would call in from the camp out and tell you about Ranger Bob, but this was the most incredible thing. We were sitting around the campfire, I guess about 3 in the morning, and this pickup truck pulls up, and you could hear this radio, like a police radio. He turned out his lights, and he's on the road there, and pretty soon he gets out and he comes walking up and looks around, and we had American flags hung up all over the place. And he really endeared himself to me right off the bat by saying, "What are all these flags for?" I just simply said, "Well, it's the United States of America, haven't you heard?" And he was embarrassed by that. And then it just got sillier and sillier as he tried to impress us with how much power he had. And of course, we really didn't care. And he ended up leaving. I think he felt very sheepish after he spent a few minutes with us. Good evening, you're on the air.
Hi, Bill. This is Dave in Albuquerque.
Dave, you almost broke my eardrums. What are you doing?
I'm sorry. I was reaching for the radio to turn it off while I was picking up the state of the phone. I'm really sorry. Bill, what do you mean we don't have any submarines?
What?
You said a minute ago when you were talking about you had photographs of the missile coming up that shot down TWA Flight 800.
Yeah, I said the militia and the patriots in this country. We don't have any.
Oh yeah, we know.
We don't have any submarines.
Yeah.
So they can't blame this on us. In fact, they can't blame anything on us. We haven't done anything.
I know. Are you going to publish? Do you have those photographs? Are you going to publish them in Veritas?
I don't know. We're negotiating. Let's put it that way. They're available, and they should be all over the internet by now. But whether or not we'll get permission to actually publish them or not, I don't know. We may take a chance on it. I don't like to do that though, because then you're infringing upon somebody, the photographer's rights. So.
Was there more than one photographer? Or?
Yes, there was. There was a woman. There were 2 men, and they got lots of photographs.
Wow. And, of course, you don't hear a word about that on the media.
Oh, no, that's not true. On Good Morning America this morning, I think it was Good Morning America, or Morning something or other, the woman was on there showing her photographs.
Oh, no kidding.
No kidding. These are SAM missiles, surface-to-air missiles. They look just like they did in Vietnam. They look like telephone poles with flames coming out the bottom.
Wow. Do they look like Soviet-made, or can you tell?
All SAMs are Soviet-made. Now, I'm talking about this specific type.
Yeah.
We have SAM missiles, but it's a different type. We don't have any that look like telephone poles, to my knowledge. Those are Russian-made.
Right.
Which means it was either Iranian, Israeli, Russian, or one of their allies.
Right.
Take your pick.
That's amazing. Well, I hope it gets some more airtime. I mean, that's incredible. I listen to, because of the work I do, I got one of these no-brainer construction type jobs, and I'm listening to radio all day. I didn't hear a word about that, but
What do you mean? Now, Joe's doing some work. I follow him around, and I got to tell you, everybody thinks I'm so smart. I haven't got a clue as to what Joe's doing when he's on construction, and he does it well.
Uh-huh.
So don't tell me this no-brainer stuff. Don't ever let me hear you cutting yourself down like that. Okay?
I just mean I can use my mind to listen to people talking on the radio and listen to the news all day. Yeah. No, I have my own little house painting business.
Okay.
So.
The only no-brainer job I know of is somebody working on an assembly line that does the same thing day after day. That's a no-brainer.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate your support, Bill.
Okay.
Hey, I hope. Are you going to give out? Would you give out that satellite, the satellite station address?
Yeah, it's Galaxy 6, Channel 14, or Transponder 14, which means the same thing. Channel 14. And you have to manually change the audio frequency to 7.56. 7.56
audio.
Yeah. On some receivers, it'll be G2.
Okay, I'm going to try and find someone that has one of those kind of dishes and get them to tape that for me or something. I'm in an apartment in the city here, and I don't face the right way to put up a stupid antenna or a dish. I'd like to. Well, Bill, nice talking to you.
Okay.
The rest of the week, and I get my Veritas, so I'll keep an eye out for when you're going back on the shortwave.
Great.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
Bye.
Good night. 520-333-4578. I've heard that there are people out there making bets that I wouldn't leave WWCR. You just don't know me, folks. I got more principle in my little finger than most people have in their whole body, in their whole being, than they ever even heard of or even knew existed. Good evening. You're on the air.
Hello, Bill.
Hello.
Really regretted not being able to show up out there after I heard a few of your broadcasts from out on the road there at the conference. I was kicking myself.
Well, a lot of people do that. I get letters and letters and letters. When's the next conference? I want to be there, blah, blah, blah. When we have the next conference, everybody gets cold feet. They get scared. Oh, they're going to raid them and round them all up. And never happens.
Well, I think there was at least 2 or 3 there that really, especially the one on symbolism, that really whetted my appetite. That one was driving me bonkers. I'm sitting here thinking, well, I've got to make certain of it. I'm not afraid to come out there. I might even be living out in your area here before too much longer.
Yeah.
I wrote you a letter. I don't know if you got it or faxed it to you or something here about the FM broadcaster. I've already sent off for it.
Good.
I don't know. There's a place. I guess you can't say who it is. You probably know about it, but I mentioned to him.
No advertising on my show unless it's paid for.
Right. I mentioned to him that you. Well, I gave him your information. He's supposed to be writing you. So.
Yeah. Okay. Great.
So we're looking forward to it, and got your information here. And I hope there is enough time to have another conference next year.
Well, I hope so too, but I think we're getting down to the wire. I really do.
Well, Bill. Hope to get to meet you someday.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Likewise. Let me give you the address, folks. If you want to order Veritas, and believe me, you better order Veritas. It's a full-size newspaper. Listen to me. It's a full-size newspaper just like the New York Times, the Los Angeles Times, or the Washington Post. In fact, it goes to everybody in Washington, D.C., all the representatives, all the senators, all the agency heads, all the cabinet members, president and vice president, read this paper. It's delivered to them for free at my expense because I want them to know what we know, and I want them to know that they're not fooling anybody. I want them to know what the truth is because they don't get it anywhere else. And they're like anybody else. They need to hear the truth once in a while anyway. So, the name of the paper is Veritas. Make your money order out to Harvest. 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 Make your money order payable to Harvest in the amount of $55. That's $55 for 24 issues. Now listen to me, people. I don't know what's wrong with you, but we've said it. It's in our advertisements. It's on our subscription form in the paper. It's 24 issues, not 24 months, not 2 years, 24 issues. Okay? You might get one every 2 weeks. You might get one every month. You might get one in a week. You might get one in 3 weeks. You might get another one 3 weeks later. It's 24 issues. There's no time schedule. So don't write me a letter and say, how come I didn't get my Veritas? It's because we don't publish that way. We publish by issue number, and it's not scheduled, okay? $55 for 24 issues. You can order by sending that $55. Make your money order payable to Harvest, Harvest, and send it to Veritas, in care of Harvest. Make sure you do it just like I tell you. Send it to Veritas, in care of Harvest, P.O. Box 1970. That's P.O. Box 1970. Eager, spelled E-A-G-A-R, Arizona, 85925. That's Veritas, in care of Harvest, Harvest, P.O. Box 1970, Eager, spelled E-A-G-A-R, Arizona, 85925. The shipping date for Oklahoma City Day 1 was supposed to have been September the 11th. However, we got the blue lines back, and there was some formatting problems with the last half of the book, and so they have to shoot those plates all over again, which means they won't ship until probably the last week in September, which means you can look to receive your copies of Oklahoma City Day 1 sometime in the month of October. I wish it could be sooner, but that's why we couldn't give out dates, because, you know, things can go wrong, and just like normally, they did. Good evening, you're on the air. Hello. Goodbye. 520-333-4578 is the number, folks. If you want to call in and give us your 3.5 cents worth, or 2 cents worth, or 12 cents worth, or cents worth, whatever your cents worth is, we're here to take your call. Good evening, you're on the air.
Good evening. Do you have any news about the potential arrival date on Day 1?
I just gave that out.
Oh, I'm sorry that I missed that. Then I'll get on my next. I'll listen on the tape.
Okay.
In the course of information that may have been given to you with regards to the situation in Oklahoma City, has anyone ever done any research on Controlled Demolition Incorporated, who was the contractor, supposedly by way of a TV show, that did the demolition work on that building?
Which demolition work? To bring the remains down?
The building down, yeah. It was a company headed by Stacy Lawazo, Controlled Demolition Incorporated. During this footage, they showed a building in Canada that they brought down in 1982, the Tiegler Building. There was also the Landmark Hotel in Las Vegas in 1975 they showed. Then there was some kind of a tower in New Jersey in April of 96 that they also brought down. And my thought was that if you had someone that knew this organization and talked to them, it'd be interesting to know what their findings were when they went into the building to do the type of work that's normally done when they bring a building like this down.
Yeah, well, that's interesting. Okay. We'll make sure somebody does.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome. Thank you. We do know that we found some pillars that had what appeared to be drill marks, you know, like when you drill into rock to insert dynamite charges to blow the rock away. You can see these drill holes on some highway cuts where the highway was cut through a mountain and there's rock facing on each side. You can see those drill cuts where they drilled the holes and put in the dynamite and then blew the rock away. Well, we found some of the steel reinforced concrete pillars in photographs that have these same drill holes. Good evening, you're on the air.
Yes, Bill, you cut me off a little bit ago. I'm calling and...
I'm what?
Hello?
I'm what?
You cut me off a little while ago.
I cut you off a little while ago?
Yeah, I wanted to say hi and you said goodbye. But anyway, this is...
It's because nobody answered the phone.
Well, all right, this is Jim Dacey out of Perry, New York here. Colin, I've been listening to your show, and a guy called in about helicopters out of the 160 and so forth.
Uh-huh.
Now, I had the same thing happening here since last summer when the militia showed up here to try to keep my home on my property that local officials were saying that I had to remove it. Anyway, I called the sheriff after I called the commander where the helicopters were coming out of up in Rochester and the sheriff put them on notice, and that's one of the things that the gentleman can do is put them on report, and then the next time they come over, anything happens, they've been put on report, and it's not the individual's fault if anything starts out of it.
Well, I gotta say it's not your fault anyway if they fly over your house where they're not supposed to be, hovering over your rooftop and pointing guns at you. If anything happens, it doesn't matter whether the guy was on report or not.
Well, exactly, but when they're flying, like 100 feet over or 200 feet over and just trying to intimidate you, and that's what's been going on.
Yeah, they do that all over the country, and every time somebody calls the sheriff or the police department or the military or the Pentagon, they all claim that they never did know anything about it. It's not our helicopters, and you must be dreaming.
And a couple of your callers, the one out of Canada, and you were trying to tell them to, get with it to do some, just don't talk or.
No, I wasn't trying to tell him that. I was trying to make him realize what it was that he was doing.
Right, but the thing that everybody out there needs to know, and we have it all around the whole country here, Bill, and there's too many sheeple. Everybody's sitting back waiting for somebody else to do something about it.
They're waiting for the great Messiah,
no,
the knight in shining armor on the white horse to come and save them. There isn't any.
That's right.
Not going to happen.
Water hits them. When the water gets waist deep, that's when they move. And that's the problem across this whole country because they're scared. They're scared about getting involved. They're scared about taking a little bit of time and so forth.
It'll be much easier to defeat the enemy right now than it's going to be 2 or 3 years from now.
That's right. And when you were talking about not touching our families and so forth, I don't know if you've had it passed where you're at, but in New York State here, they passed a new domestic violence law, which, any little incident whatsoever, the one individual or the others.
What do you mean, little incident whatsoever? What are you talking about?
Any kind of argument whatsoever that.
Argument?
Yes. Oh, yes.
Well, then they better lock Hillary and Bill up because they argue all the time.
This is what I'm saying.
That's total bullshit. That's total bullshit. And if you stand for it in New York, then you deserve what you get.
No, we've been fighting it.
There's nobody who's ever lived together for 5 days who get through 5 days without an argument.
If you have an argument and one or the other calls the sheriff or the police come and they take one or the other individual away.
For what?
Under this new domestic.
For what? There has to be a crime. For what?
Domestic violence.
What's domestic violence?
Any kind of complaint to the police out of a family.
So if you have an argument, you better get to the phone first? Is that what you're saying? Whoever calls first.
They pushed people here in New York State, and these groups.
And you guys bought it. You guys bought it. You guys bought it.
This domestic violence group.
You didn't answer my question. You guys bought it, right?
No, I didn't. No,
I didn't say you. I said you guys. New York State bought it, right?
That's right.
Well, New York State deserves what it gets. I would recommend that you get the hell out of New York State. Don't even look back.
I'm going to fight, Bill, and anybody out there that's known me, that's listening to Shortwave, that's come here through the last year and so forth, and met a lot of other individuals out of state and so forth, they know that I'm going to stand my ground. But the thing of it is, these domestic violence groups, the social services, the CPS workers, they're all a little agency that's a little money-making scheme.
They're all a little bunch of puke-faced Marxist communist subversives.
Exactly. And one last thing, I just hope that, this is one of the first times I've heard your show. I was listening to Jackie Petru a little bit earlier. But I just wish a lot of people, instead of
Jackie Petru has a show a little bit earlier?
Yes, on the show just before yours.
That's her show?
No, she was on with another gentleman out of Colorado.
Oh, okay.
Out of Colorado. But anyway, I just wish a lot of people out there, instead of going to the coffee shop, going to the donut shop, going to the beer joint, whatever, going to the restaurant, get off your dead butts and get out there and get involved with a Patriot group.
Yeah, we're out of time.
It needs to be done.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bill.
Yeah, he's right, folks. Are you kidding me? You have a fight with your wife or somebody, and whoever goes to the phone first, the police come and take the other one away? Give me a break! Come on. What is this? Come on, wake up, you stupid fools. Oh, my gosh. I can't even, good night. Good night, and God bless you all.